Hey everyone, this is Jack. This is going to be a quick bar-by-bar review for the S&P 500 futures contract for Monday, June 1st, 2026. You can see my chart markup and comments for the day there. On the daily chart, we've been in a strong bull trend. You know what? I don't have my moving averages on that chart for some reason. But anyway, we're far above the moving average. It's very likely that we'll begin to pull back soon, but we have a very tight channel up. So even if we do pull back, it's likely that we'll find buyers below. And because we've had trading range bars for the last several days, besides this strong bull trend bar, I imagine that we'll start to go sideways soon and have more trading range price action. So coming into the day, this is what we see. We have a strong bull trend bar. Sorry, the chart's still loading, so I can't really move it much. With a small doji follow-through bar. So very likely we'll find sellers above, but we'll try to go higher. And very likely that we'll pull back, but very likely that we'll find buyers below. Sorry it's taking so long to update because I have indicators on that chart. So you know what? Dang, I'm not going to be able to scroll here for a second, so I'm going to pause, let that load. I forget what I was saying to let the charts load. But anyways, trading range bar, the prior session, very likely sellers above, buyers below, but a tight bull channel, most likely we'll try to get some follow through. So that was my expectation coming into the day. And then I think it's interesting to look at the Globex chart because just before the market opened, we had a huge bear climax bar down to the lows of the trading range from the prior day. And because we have this big bear climax, it's very likely that we'll bounce, but it's also likely that the bears will look for a second leg down. So that was helpful for me reading the opening range. Now to the 5-minute chart. All right. Make the bars a little bit bigger. All right, bar one, we have a gap down. It's worth about a quarter day's range. And we have a bull bar, big tail above and below. Very likely a good indication that today we'll have a lot of trading range price action. So I imagine we have a trading range on the open and we have some form of trading range day. Probably the gap will close and we have a bull bar. So that's a buy signal. And it's very likely that we'll go sideways to up. We have good follow through with 2, but another big tail. Likely we'll still go higher, but probably we find sellers around yesterday's close or above the high of 2 or possibly even at the close of 2. I imagine we'll form some type of opening reversal down. Bar 3 broke out, pulled back. We have a doji bar, likely buyers below for a second leg up, probably sellers not far above the high. And then 4, breaking out, but a smaller bar with a small bull body, breaking above the moving average and pulling back. 4 consecutive higher lows, very likely that the first reversal down will be minor, but the buyers may not come in until the open of the day or the low of the day near the Globex low. So I imagine we find sellers either at or above this bar. And then we went outside down on 5, and we have a pretty decent close, but with a big tail on the bottom of the bar. So we might pull back a little bit more, but I imagine we go a little bit lower. And then good follow through with 6, but now it's 10 a.m. We usually have news around 10 a.m. So I imagine we find buyers at and below this bar, possible double bottom with the open of the day. And opening reversal down looks okay, but also looks like a trading range. So I imagine we'll find buyers in the lower part of the range here. We went sideways and had a pretty deep pullback with bar 7, and we found buyers below 6. So I imagine buyers below 7 as well, and possible by the close bar, betting on a test up to the high close or high of the day from bar 7. And then bar 8, racing up to the top of the trading range and closing below the moving average. I imagine we find sellers up here, possible double top with 4. But a strong enough bull bar, we probably go a little bit higher, but we may pull back first. And then bar 9. Bar 9 for me was a statement that the bears are pretty aggressive because we're turning down from the moving average. We have a double top and we have a very deep pullback, basically a 2-bar reversal with 8 and 9. And that's characteristics of a bear trend. So I think it's likely that we'll go sideways to down from here. We have a double top, not a very strong sell signal bar, but a strong bear reversal here. So I imagine we pull back a little bit and go sideways to down. Bar 10 broke out and tested the close of yesterday again, and now a double top with bar 5 and reversed all the way down below the open of the bar. So we have a big tail on the top of the bar. That means sellers above, possibly buyers below, but probably better to look to buy below bar 8 or bar 7, or possibly around the low of the day on bar 1. But I imagine we still go sideways to down, still a trading range day. Small range so far, a little bit bigger than a third of an average day's range. So bulls will look for a breakout and a measured move up. Bears will look for a breakout and a measured move down. For the moment, it looks like we're going to go a little bit lower. But then buyers at the close of 10, but a weak bull bar, testing the high close of 8 and pulling back, failing to get above the moving average again. We may find sellers at and above the bar, so possible sell to close bar. Bar 12, bears looking for a second leg down from the sell-off on 5, possibly a two-legged pullback here. So this may be an attempt at trend resumption. I imagine we test the low of 7, but we have so much overlap here that there's probably buyers below 12, 8, and 7. We channeled lower, and we have a big tail above and below. Good indication that we're still in a tight trading range. Probably sideways to down, but probably buyers not far below. And then 14, trying to get the bear breakout. We have a triangle, and the bears are trying to get a breakout. And this breakout doesn't look very good so far because of how much overlap there is and how much bad follow-through there's been so far today and how much overall trading range price action we have. It's very likely that there are buyers at the 7 low and possibly even at the 14 close. We turned up from below 14, and now we have a reversal, but it's a tight trading range, and we're channeling down. We have a pretty decent channel down. It's weak, but it's pretty decent, so there's probably sellers at and above this bar, and the bears will look for a second leg down. Bulls are hoping we have a double bottom with 7, a double bottom with the open of the day, so probably buyers below 15, but better to think about selling, at least for the moment. I imagine we still go sideways to down. And this looks like a pullback. Possible buyers at the close or below 16. Bulls looking for a test up to the high of the day, the high of the range. We have 3 consecutive bear bars. And that's the most consecutive bars we've had all day so far. So the bears are clearly strong, but we're staying above the open. You know, we tested the open here with 7, rallied pretty hard. We're testing the open again with 14, and now we're starting to rally again. So it's very likely that there will be more buyers at the low close on 14, the low of 15, and below 16. Channeling lower, but again, doji bars, very likely buyers below, and we start to turn up. Second entry long, reasonable swing buy for a test of the high of the day. Maybe low probability, but reasonable. You know, it's a micro double bottom with 15 to a double bottom with 7 with the open of the day. Bears just cannot get consecutive closes below the open of the day, and we still have a triangle, basically. So this could easily lead to a breakout and a measured move up if the bulls get some good follow-through here. So reasonable to think about buying. Decent entry bar, but traders initially sold to close. So that's not very good for the bulls, but likely we go a little bit higher, probably sellers not far above 16. And then 20, traders sold to close of 19 again, but we have another higher low and then a big bull breakout. We have a pretty big tail, so I imagine there'll be some more hesitation here. We're at the moving average, high swing high of 16, and the close of 11, a swing point on a line chart. So we have limit order traders there. I imagine we pull back here, but possible swing up forming, and likely the first reversal down will be bought. 21, weak pullback, weak close, likely buyers not far below, possibly buyers at the close. And then 22, an inside bar and a weak sell. Probably we trigger the sell, but I imagine buyers below either of these bars here. And then instead, buyers at the close. We have trend resumption for the bulls, looking for a second leg up. We likely go at least a little bit higher, but possibly sellers around the high of the day up here. Then another pullback. This could be a wedge with 15, 20, and 23. But this looks more like the start of a pullback than a full-on reversal. So probably buyers here. We tested the moving average, pop back up. I imagine we find buyers below that low, and instead buyers at the close. We have a big bull breakout, big tail, and something's changing about the market. And we have a lot of overlap, a lot of bad follow-through here, and we're starting to get follow-through here, weak pullback bars, and now we have a big surprise bull breakout. So the bulls, they're going to look for a measured move up, something like that. The Globex high is way up here. The high of yesterday is way up here. And if the bulls are this strong and they can sustain that strength, it's very reasonable to look for that measured move. So probably we go a little bit higher, but a climax needs follow through. likely to pull back here. And then 26, good follow through, but a lot of overlap with the tail of the prior bar. This could be a micro double top if we turn down on the next bar, but likely buyers below 26. Looks like a pullback to me on 27, probably buyers not far below, more likely below 26 somewhere. And then 28, a reversal down, a pretty decent bear breakout bar with a strong close. Likely to get some follow through here, but I imagine buyers at the close of 25 and below 26. So I imagine we pull back and bears possibly looking for a second leg down here. 29 pulled back into the range, tested the stop entry price for the bears, and then pulled back. So I imagine we go a little bit lower, but probably buyers below 29 looking for a second leg up from the rally. And then problem for the bulls, we have a tight channel down and a micro channel. And now we have 30, another bear breakout bar with a strong close beyond the low of the prior bar. So this could turn the rally into a climax, and we may test all the way down to the low of 25 and possibly back down into the middle of the triangle here. Very common when you get failed breakouts of a triangle to pull back into the middle of the range. So bulls may be getting up here. We may accelerate down, possible buy the close or buy below. We have the moving average as support, the breakout point from 23 as support, but that's a few points below. And if you're buying up here in the range of 26, you're currently upside down. So if we start to pull back and get to those entry prices, we may find resistance and we may get a second leg down for the bears before the bulls are able to get trend resumption. And this could turn into a trading range day rather than a trending trading range day. And we may test all the way back down to the low of the day if the bears are strong enough. But right now, the bulls are stronger than the bears, and the bears are looking for a failed bull breakout of a triangle. And the bulls are looking for a pullback, possibly a wedge bull flag or two-legged pullback, and then trend resumption. So you got to be quick to make decisions here. We pulled back on 31, tested above the stop entry price again, did not reach the high close of 26. So any buy the close bulls on 26 are still upside down. And now we have a big tail on 31, a good indication that we'll go at least a little bit lower. Buyers below 28, buyers at the close of 30. So very likely buyers somewhere below 30, but they may not come in until somewhere down here. So I imagine we go sideways here. Possible micro double bottom 32 and 30, but likely more sideways than up. Not a very good buy signal bar. And then bear breakout 33, still a possible wedge bull flag, but a strong enough breakout that's closing far enough below the lows that could be trapping limit order buyers, and we may get a move down to the climax low or possibly one of these lows down here inside of the triangle, as I mentioned. But so far, the bear breakout doesn't look that impressive, but I imagine we go at least a little bit lower. And then 34, we have a climax. We broke far below, tested into the range of the triangle, tested below the climax bar low, 25, and we found a lot of buyers and we reversed up. So possible bear breakout pullback short, but also possible big reversal up. Bulls looking for a second leg, and still a decent looking wedge bull flag if you draw it like that. I mean, not very good, so maybe it's low probability, but the tail on 34 is a pretty big reversal up, so we may find more buyers than sellers here, and if we do, it increases the odds of trend resumption. And we have a bull breakout bar. It's small compared to the prior two bars, but it has a strong body, strong close, and I imagine it gets some follow through. And then we have a small pullback and doji follow through bar, but closing beyond the high, closing right at the close of the prior day, right around the midpoint of this sell-off, so possibly sellers here, but I imagine buyers below 35 at a minimum, and possibly trend resumption, still a possible wedge bull flag, so a possible swing up to the high close on 26 or a new high of the day. And then bull breakout, it looks like trend resumption, but we have a spike, a pause, and another spike that could lead to a pullback. Probably buyers below 37, reasonable to buy here, but the risk is big, and probably sellers not far above the high of 27. Inside bar, but still likely to go higher, probably buyers still below 37. And then a micro double top with a reasonable sell signal bar. I imagine we trigger the short, but I imagine it's disappointing in some way. There's probably buyers somewhere below 38 or 37. and then we pulled back, tested near the close of 36 and rallied. Second entry long, leg one, two-legged pullback, holding above the moving average. I imagine we go a little bit higher, but we may find sellers above either of the highs. And then it looks like everybody on the planet bought. We have a big bull breakout. It's another climax similar to 25, so it needs follow through, and it's unlikely to get a measured move up on the following bar and more likely to pull back before we go much higher. Small follow through bar, a doji, prominent tail. I imagine we go below 42. Probably look for hesitation at either breakout point from 27 or 39. And we may test all the way down to the climax bar low if we get a reasonable sell signal. And that's 43, a reasonable sell signal. I imagine we trigger the sell and go a little bit lower, but probably buyers around the moving average in the low of 41. Second bar down for the bulls, but right at the climax low and right at the moving average. Maybe more buyers at the close than sellers, and probably buyers below 40 as well. Reversal bar, but a tail. Bears probably get a retest of the 44 close, and probably buyers below 44 or 45. And then a micro double bottom, did not quite reach the low close on 44, and a reasonable buy signal. So I imagine we go a little bit higher, and then a bull breakout bar. Looks like trend resumption and a broad bull channel, a trending trading range bull trend day. Probably sellers not that far above 42, but probably looking to test up there. And then another climax, bar 48, similar to 41, 25, likely to pull back here, but probably we go at least a little bit higher. And a problem for the bulls, we have a wedge, and we're breaking out of the top of the wedge of the bull channel. It's very likely that we will pull back on within the next few bars. Strong bear reversal bar, but a tail above and below the bar. I imagine we trigger the sell, but probably buyers somewhere below 48. They may not come in until the low close or low of 44. So probably sideways here. And then a 2-bar reversal, possible micro double top if we turn down on the next bar, and possibly buyers here. We might have support on a line chart, the 42 close and the 49 close. There's a small gap. The close here is 608. The close here is 607.75. So there's a 1-tick gap. And it's not as strong as having an actual gap where the low and the high do not overlap, but it's still a gap, and this could lead to a move up. So it's reasonable to think about buying here. And then we have a huge bull breakout on 51. Pretty big tail, very likely to pull back here, very likely to create a trading range soon. We have a breakout of a bull channel here, and then we have an even steeper channel that we're breaking out of. So we're becoming increasingly parabolic. So it's likely to lead to sideways here. And I imagine we go at least a little bit higher. 52, inside bar, prominent tail. I imagine we go below 52 soon. And then a bull inside bar with a strong body and close. If we do rally, I imagine sellers not far above 51, and I imagine buyers not far below either of these bars. 54, 2-bar reversal, but likely buyers at and below the bar. Small bull reversal bar, likely sellers not far above. And then another one, so still likely sellers probably around the 53 close. Instead, sellers above. 2 or 3 legs down, could be a wedge bull flag, possibly buyers at and below the bar. And then 58, we have a tight trading range, and we have a strong body, strong close here. I imagine sellers around the high close of 53. Small follow-through bar, tight trading range, likely to go sideways to down. And then bear breakout 61 with a tail, probably buyers below the tail. And then sideways, and then buyers below 62. Micro double top 60 and 53. I imagine we go a little bit higher to find sellers. And then 64 turning down, probably buyers below the swing point or the low close on 57. And then weak bull reversal, probably sellers at and above. And then 66, a bad short near the low of a trading range, probably buyers below 65. And then another reversal, probably sellers above 66. And then sideways, looks like the market is trying to create another triangle here. So I imagine sellers above the highs and buyers below the lows. And then a reasonable sell signal. This could be a sell signal for a short and a swing down for the bears if the bulls are able to get trend resumption here. We do have decent buying pressure, but a lot of small bars, tails, overlap, bad follow through, and a lot of reversal bars with strong bodies and strong closes. That's a good indication of selling pressure, increases the odds that we break below 57, and bears will look for a test down into the range of 50 and 51. But we're still in a tight trading range, so probably buyers not far below 69, and then sideways 70, and then turning up 71, but a small bar, likely sellers above 68. Channeling higher, but a doji, probably sellers not far above, and then bear breakout 73. It may not look like it, but 73 is a little bit bigger than average, and it's got a pretty strong close. And we could be trapping limit order buyers below 72 and 71, possibly even 70. So if we don't pull back here and we continue to go lower, this could turn into a late reversal and test back down, as I said, into 50 and 51. And it looks like we might have tested the breakout point here. Let's see. Yes, there is some overlap with the breakout point, but not with these breakout points. So we have limit order buyers below 68 and 70 that are still trapped. And this could lead to a second leg down for the bears. And we're channeling lower. Traders sold the close of 74, and we have no tail on the top of the bar, so likely sellers above, and likely we go a little bit lower. And then 76, more continuation and a breakout from this channel trend line on a smaller time frame, so it could be a reset, likely to go below 51 and possibly down to the low close on 49. And then more follow through, but right at yesterday's high, so imagine we bounce and pull back here. And then 78, reversal up, but likely sellers above. And then follow through, but a small bar, likely sideways. And then sideways to up into the close. So overall, we had a triangle on the open. We got an opening range breakout up that initially failed into a wedge bull flag. And from there, we had a trending trading range bull trend that led to a tight trading range and then a sell to close bear trend basically into the close. Trending trading range, bull trend day. Interesting overall. So what do we do tomorrow? Probably we find more buyers at and below this bar, and we try to make a new all-time high. But I imagine we'll begin to find more sellers above the high and pull back and create a broader channel. This is a pretty tight channel up, so first reversal down, certainly going to be minor unless the bears get something surprisingly strong, trapping limit order buyers. But even if they did, the first strong move down is going to be bought. You know, look at this bear breakout here. They bought it. This one, they bought it. We gapped up. And then breaking out down here, they bought it. Right here, pretty good sell signal, bear entry bar, they bought it. So very likely to find buyers below. Thanks for watching, I appreciate it. Please like and subscribe, leave me a comment, and I will see you on the next review. Thanks, bye.